Welcome everybody to VIP 50 Challenge Day 3.
Day 3, Mindset Day.
Yes. Let me know through the chat, if you would, what your experiences has been so far, if you would, please. Do you like the topics? I mean, kind of give us a little bit of feedback, guys, on the system and what you've learned so far. Today's a really good one because today is about mindset. And the cool thing with mindset is we are totally in control of this. We're in control of our mindset.
And then 100% dictates the outcome of everything in your life is your mindset.
Yes, that is 100% true. You can, and we're going to talk a lot about this, about how you go through life, how you dictate your mindset based on your experiences and things that happen to you. You know, whether you're the poor picked on, oh man, everything always happens to me, or it's I got this.
Yeah, everything is put upon you, everything is against you, you can't ever catch a break, or are you somebody that knows that it's up to you to go make the break?
Exactly. So let me bring up the workbook. There it is. Okay. Everybody can see the workbook on here, correct? So guys, talking about mindset, I love, and that's why I put this in here. The absolute definition of mindset is a habitual or characteristic mental attitude that determines how you will interpret and respond to situations. Like I was saying, Aaron, every one of us are 100% in control of our mindset and where our mind goes.
Absolutely.
You know, I guess unless you're bipolar and you can't.
Right.
But other than that, right?
Right. Your outlook, just the energy you receive things. I mean, things do happen, but the positive or negative way you choose to look at things, and it's a choice.
Yeah, it's 100% a choice. So the bottom line is big thing about mindset is we want you guys to understand and know that if you keep a prosperous mindset, if you keep the mindset that of abundance and value and just being top of your game.
Yeah, being at cause, knowing that if it's to be, it's up to you. We have a quote in here, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right. And really what it comes down to is do you believe that you can, right? Do you have the power and the ability to move through anything?
Yeah, exactly. So two different types of mindset that are out there. The first mindset is a player. The second is a victim. So as we're going through these, I want you guys to ask yourself, and you could actually play a different one of these on every situation that happens. It's not like
different times.
Sometimes you can be a victim, and other times you can be a player.
Right.
But what you need to ask yourself is, how often are you the victim?
Right. A player seeks out opportunities for growth. They're in a growth mindset. They know that they have the ability to impact or change the outcomes of situations. Again, it's an energy. Are you somebody that's at cause, or is life happening to you? It's a real, it's a shift in the way you look at things. Do you take opportunities that come and do you see them as setbacks, or do you embrace them as an opportunity to grow?
Do you find good and positive in every situation? I know I try to.
Right.
It's built into my DNA.
Well, that just kind of points to the idea is, did you fail or did you learn?
Well, I've been an entrepreneur my entire adult life, guys, and I'm just telling you, a lot of people look at entrepreneurs as they're out doing what it is they're doing, because I mean, let's face it, we're not afraid to do. We're not afraid to take action. We're not afraid to step into the ring and try something. And guess what? You're not always going to hit the freaking mark.
Well, it's an idea that you're going to have missteps, you're going to have fall downs, but you're like, that's just part of it.
But it's a fall up, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's part of it.
Because every single time I fail, I learn something. It teaches me something that now I know, and I move on.
Reminds me of the saying, fell faster.
Well, and this goes right into our, don't be an idiot, guys. If you keep doing the same mistakes over and over and over again, and you're not changing, you're being an idiot.
Right. Take the lesson, make the improvements, make the changes, and keep moving. You got to believe in yourself. You got to know you can do it.
Again, I said this yesterday. I'm this 3-day, all day long challenge that I've been on with Russell Brunson. It's so funny, dude, because this is exactly what he was talking about today.
Oh, is it?
In this, and it's that believe in yourself. I think a lot of people have a hard time believing in themselves and actually giving themselves permission and actually saying, I can do this.
Right. Yeah, it takes a certain type of guts to look at something and go, I'm worthy of that. I can do that. I'm going to go after it. So it really, guys, no one's going to give you permission. You have to go after it.
Yep. Quality versus quantity, man. It's, and I'm talking in relationships. I'm talking in everything you do. Don't half-ass it.
Right. Absolutely. All in, full investment. Really, this is again an energetic investment in what you're doing.
Yep.
Give it all. Go for it all.
And then the last one, which is my specialty, is don't just dip your toe, guys. Jump the fuck in.
Right. Full immersion.
Full immersion.
No dabblers, guys.
I don't even know what dabbling is.
Right. Then you have the opposite, obviously, is the victim. And we all know a victim. Honestly, it's kind of frustrating, but it feels like our culture really has gone largely in that direction. It's kind of the popular thing, be put upon.
I've said it a lot, Aaron, and you know this. It is frustrating because I do feel like this generation, this younger generation, has such entitlement. And, I grew up in Malad, and I grew up that there was no such thing as a free lunch. You had to earn, right, and you had to learn.
Right.
And that was it. There's no blaming others.
Right.
You need to look within yourself and own what it is that you did that caused it, because it takes two to tangle. It takes two to have an issue, right?
Right, absolutely. Then you obviously have the victim always has the self-pity, the downtrodden, they feel picked on, they're constantly, they're upset, they got to tell you the bad story, they got to tell you, and it gets draining.
It is so draining. I have such little patience for self-pity.
Right, absolutely. Then you also have a passive approach, which kind of goes opposite of what we talked about in the player section, where if it's to be up to me, it's up to me. But the passive approach basically is dabbling, right?
And we see him. It's not even dabbling. It's for example, it's somebody that, let's say you have a classroom full of people and we're given a webinar and we're talking and we want people to engage and we want people to be a part of it. And there's always going to be those certain people in the crowd that hide. They're just hiding in the crowd, and they're there, but they're hiding. And they don't want the spotlight on them. They don't want to be asked a question. It's a very passive, and that's a hard one because I feel bad.
Right. You know, it's interesting. We've actually all seen it really, but the guy who's actually willing to jump in and participate, the guy who's actually, or the person who's actually willing to, you know, get embarrassed and make the mistakes, they get way more out of every situation. They really do.
They do.
The guy, the one who sits in the back, you know, I think about football practice, you know, and you have a line of players who are going to go through a drill. It's always the leader who's up front, willing to, and excited to go take on that drill. And then you have the
And if they fall down, if they mess up,
they get
right back up and go again.
But then there's the kid who always who starts the line at the back of the line. So he gets to watch exactly how to do it. So he gets to not be embarrassed if he does it wrong. And guess what? He's never a leader. They rarely get playing time.
So ask yourself, guys, have you ever put yourself in that position, or you do it often, of being somebody that's passive? If you are, you're the only person that can change from being passive to being a player, from being a victim to over to a player.
Put yourself in the game, guys. Then you have the negative outlook, always pessimistic, always looking for the mistakes, always looking for the shortcomings. I mean,
right.
I'll tell you what, if you're looking for negative, you're going to find it. Or
that is 100%
you can look for positive and you can take action and be a player.
Right. You know, people feeling.
I don't know if it's clear how we feel about victim versus player.
Right. I think it's pretty clear.
All right.
Well, I've never been a victim.
Well, yeah. You know what? I've gotten into some low spots and I've played that role and it sucks, dude.
Yeah.
It really does.
Like
I think we've all been in a situation where you feel weak and you feel down and you feel and tell you what, nothing goes right at that point. You can't find your way out of it, but it's up to you to do it.
Exactly.
Then there's avoiding responsibility, guys. Dude.
Very similar to this one drives me crazy, Aaron. And let me tell you guys a really quick story. There are people, and unfortunately, there are a lot of people that avoid responsibility at every turn in their life.
It's not my job.
Yeah. So my wife works as a medical assistant at a hospital, and she works for a whole bunch of she works in an office with a whole bunch of different orthopedic surgeons. And she is the ultimate for an employee to have, because she takes that business and personalizes it. And if there's something that's left undone, she won't leave.
She's picking it up.
She'll pick it up. And the problem with that is so many people, I listen to a bunch of the stories that she tells me, and it boggles my mind that people out there can be so, I mean, all they're doing is they got their blinders on, they're in automatic mode, they move like a fucking turtle, and they don't care. They just don't care.
Dude, they find themselves together, congregating, complaining, which is the next thing. I mean,
yeah, around the water tank.
Resenting the environment versus being someone who's taking initiative, jumping in, fixing, owning like your wife does. There are two different mentalities, and sorry, but you're never going to progress in life unless you take ownership, you step up, and you engage the process and go after it. So,
you know, this is a big one too, Aaron, the dependency. And you know, when I was married, when I was married to my previous wife, one of my biggest things that just gnawed on me, I mean, I was married for 25 years, was her dependency on me. She was Mr. or Mrs. Dean Ward.
She'd wait around for you to.
And it was hard, guys, because. And it wasn't because I was over there with my thumbs on her saying, you know, I wanted her to blossom. I wanted her to come out. She's done it now. So with no uncertainty, she's done it now,
good.
Which is way good. But that was one that I don't know. I mean, I feel that there's probably a lot of people out there that they're scared, or they're you know, like we said up earlier, they're passive, and so that puts them in a position where they have to be dependent.
It's interesting as we go through this list of different features of these types of player versus victim. You can see how they interplay together, and
You
really,
bet.
and really, it comes. It's a
They all feed off each other.
guys. It's an energetic difference of being at cause or being put upon, basically. So, are you the hammer or are you the nail?
Exactly.
I'll tell you what. Being the hammer, being the cause, being the source of action and energies, life's just always better.
You know, use the to raise your hand. How many of you out there, how many of you guys have had a fear of failure where it froze you in place and something that you really wanted to accomplish, something you wanted to do, you couldn't do it, you didn't do it because you had the fear of failure?
I think
This is a big one, Aaron.
Yeah. How often, I mean, how many things have you held yourself back from just for fear that you might not do it right or not be able to do it? I think everybody who's in here that you took on this new industry, this business you're trying to get into, I think it speaks volumes to who you are, that you have the guts and the fortitude to do it. We're just inviting you to pick a side. Hopefully it's the player side. Get engaged, take responsibility, get the attitude right, and get after it.
And guys, let me help you put that whole fear of failure in perspective. You're not failing. It's not fear of failure. What you're doing is your fear of growing, because I can promise you that whether you succeed or whether you fail, there is a lesson to be learned there.
All right.
And it's how you take that lesson and how you take it to heart and what you do after that lesson.
Right.
So it's not always, maybe easier for you guys to put it in perspective next time you find yourself in a situation where there is that fear of failure. And I'm just telling you guys, put it in perspective. What are you going to miss? What are you not going to get?
Right.
That's what I'm looking at.
Right.
We already talked about entitlement. It's unfortunate, but it happens.
Well, and then all of it ties down to the last one, which is inaction. I mean, basically you freeze and you're not participating in life, guys.
Yeah.
So then we move over to the different types of mindset, right? We have a fixed mindset. What's a fixed mindset?
Fixed mindset is I've been doing this shit since I was high to a blah blah blah, and I'm not going to change my ways.
Our industry, there's a fixed way of going after and getting business. We're approaching a different way of doing it. I think anybody who strikes out in an industry and is an innovator, they're not a fixed mindset.
Right. Ariana, I love that you put this. She said, I'm not sure if it was a fear of failure or success, but I self-sabotage quite a bit. Again, it's mindset. It's all, look at it as a learning and take that on. Take on the positive. Always focus on that positive of what you're not going to learn, what you're not going to gain, what you're not going to have.
Right.
That's what it's all about.
There's also the giving up too easy, guys. I mean, a fixed mindset, basically you're not willing to push the threshold. You're not willing to push the envelope at all. So you back off as you're getting to any type of friction. So
Yeah.
there's that. There's ignoring feedback.
This is a big one, Aaron.
Oh, man.
Again, one of the biggest tools, I'll call it, that you can use for growth is feedback.
Mm-hmm.
And, you've got to have thick skin. You've got to be able to let people give you that feedback and take it to heart and use it as a tool to change who you are for the better.
Absolutely. Feedback, guys, is I mean, it's invaluable. It's outside perspective, and the feedback comes in all kinds of ways. It may be getting hung up on. It may be one of your friends not being responsive to how you're approaching them for the 50. I mean,
right.
Feedback comes in all kinds of ways.
It may be that you're busting your ass and you're working your VIP 50 and the deals aren't just falling in your lap. They will if you stick to it, but it can be discouraging.
Well, it's also giving up too easy, right? I think that ties back into that one as well. Because something like we're developing takes a little bit to develop.
And here's this one. Yeah, I don't want to do that because it's not going to matter. I'm not going to vote because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
My vote
My
doesn't
vote
matter.
doesn't matter. Yeah, I hear that all the time, or I'm not even gonna try. It's pointless.
Yeah, why even try? I mean, it's almost like you're acknowledging that you gave up.
And acknowledging that I mean, you have no power,
Backbone.
you're powerless.
Right.
Yeah, I tried to.
Notice how these are tying into the other ones. How about feeling threatened by other success?
You know what? I think in our comparison culture with all of our social media right now, there's a lot of comparison that happens. And God, being threatened by that, it's interesting. Again, that's just more feedback that it's possible, right?
Let me give you another thing. If you're a person that does maybe look at others and why does he have everything and I have nothing? Why I bust my ass all my life and I've got nothing. I can't, blah, blah, blah. One way to look at it is everybody's success is different, Aaron.
Right.
Everybody's success has a different point. And I'm just telling you guys, you know, there's been many, many, many things as I've gone through my life that I have absolutely failed at, but I've picked myself back up. I've dusted myself off. I've looked at what could be positive in that I learned, and I move on from it. And so to look at other people and think that you're not successful and that they are, hey, they might be at a different level than you. I mean, I have some friends that are extremely wealthy, and I've been around this world with them. And I'll just tell you guys, I mean, you know, one of my oldest and dearest friends is absolutely killing it right now. And he deserves it because I've known this dude for over 30 years, and it would be easy for me to go, oh man, I wish I was making that kind of money.
Yeah.
But you know what? The bottom line is I'm proud of him. I'm happy for him. And I've seen how much freaking hard work that dude put in and how much he gave up to get where he's at.
Celebrate people, celebrate your friends' successes, guys. And then, you know, obviously the fear of failure, all of this ties back. It's feedback. It's again, fell faster to go further. There is that old adage, basically is take those lessons, you know, those failures in some of the business you're talking about. Guaranteed today, those tools are being utilized.
Absolutely.
Right? You're bringing that stuff along, and they're all lessons.
Hey, you know what? Here's a quick story. I'll tell you a personal thing that happened to both of us that we could have easily given up and just rolled over and it's this simple, guys. We were spending $20,000 a month buying leads from Zillow. And when interest rates started ticking up, we still were forking out money hand over fist, and the deals were not happening because people were scared. Scared people don't buy real estate.
$700 a lead. It got expensive.
Like it literally, obviously that's when, because I've talked about this, that's when this whole concept came about because of that.
Right.
Look at the positive. Look at how powerful that this is.
Arguably put us out of business. And we had to start a new direction.
We did.
Right.
We started over from scratch.
Right. Absolutely.
I love that, dude. I'm getting chills.
Yep. And dude, and so that flips over to what's the opposite of a fixed mindset? It's the growth mindset, right? Learning from your criticisms. I mean,
it's feedback.
It really is just feedback. Instead of you know feeling like it is a criticism, you choose to presence it as feedback.
Okay, let's take it a step further, guys. Let's put it in this context. If you are, and I challenge you, if you're not giving yourself feedback, you need to start.
Right.
Having that self-talk. And if you're doing something that you know is dragging you down and it's not picking you up, man, pull yourself aside and have a little chit chat. Have a coming to Jesus with yourself.
All right.
Seriously.
Hold yourself accountable.
Okay. Effort.
Yeah, believing that the effort is worth it. That realizing that every ounce of energy you put into something is worth it because it's for you. It's for your goals, for your plans, your life, your family.
Adaptability. That's a big one, man.
So being flexible.
You've struggled with this,
right?
Here's my feedback.
No. So I was raised in a prospecting based business. So I've been doing real estate for 25 years. And it has been the hardest thing for me. Well,
dragging him, kicking and screaming.
guys, I made a living. I could come into the office any given day and I could call and set an appointment with a new random person I've never met. But it was a grind and it was not fun. So coming this direction and learning the system and working through all
Because
this.
that's all you've known.
Yeah, it's taken me a little bit longer to take off, but I mean, it's happening.
Well, and let's be honest, Aaron, I know that you've never been a real big, in your businesses, you've never spent money like we were spending on leads. And I know it was a big step out for you.
No.
And we got punched right in the mouth. So I get why you would be a little bit hesitant.
Well, and then it was slowing down, realizing that you could have, I mean, I've kept touching on this, but realizing you can afford to slow down and spend time in your relationships and you can still make a living, because everything I've ever been taught was dial for dollars,
Right.
call everyone, do it, anyways, it's crazy. But the adaptability, guys,
You have to
the
adapt.
ability to actually be flexible and make new moves and welcome. It's more of a welcoming energy of adaptability is going to be huge.
And you will not fail this time.
Right.
Not if I have
Right.
anything to do with it.
Absolutely.
And then the last one, would you say, Aaron, that this kind of is me?
Yeah.
Would you say I'm a
Yeah.
curious mind?
You're an absolute open, you're a sponge, dude.
I am a sponge, man. I am such a curious soul.
Except for I couldn't talk, you weren't adaptable or curious about prospecting.
And here's why. It's from
I-
from my own personal experiences, because as you know, when I first started out, when I first got married, I sold cookware and cutlery in China door to door. That is hardcore, in your face prospecting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not that I was pushing against it. I just knew there was a better way from my life experience.
Well, dude, it's brought us to this with
It did.
the fulfillment of the relationships. It's been incredible.
Yes. Okay, let's I want to take a minute here because I mean, let's face this, guys. We grow up with our families, and at some point in time, we turn into the human beings that we are based on our life experiences and people that we're around on a major basis.
Guess
Would you agree?
Absolutely. But as you're talking about this, evaluate how you show up for people, because you naturally are going to do these same things we're going to talk about.
Yep,
Because
it's learned.
the loudest feedback you're going to receive is going to be from the people closest to you,
Yes,
right?
Yes.
And so just pay attention to how you show up for people in the same regard. So
exactly. So my whole point is, we do really get kind of shaped by our childhood and the way we're raised and who we're raised with. And I mean, as opposed to, I'm one of 11 as opposed to being an only child. Huge difference, right?
Right.
So, praising the intelligence of others, all good parents want to praise, and all good parents want to build their kids up. But there is a mark. There is too much. Do you agree?
Right. What I think this ties to actually is destination mindset. It's outcome-based mindset. So it's like, it's why we compare so much. You guys, it's finding the value and the juice in the process,
Right,
in the effort,
right.
versus just,
The hard work.
yeah, versus, oh, he's natural, you're a talent, you got, right? I mean, it's actually acknowledging the part that's actually the fulfilling part, which is the process.
And what about the opposite side of that, Aaron? Criticizing.
Yeah, criticizing. So naturally, I mean, we have our internal dialogue, and we're always that's where we need to pay attention, is the criticizing ourselves. But
Give yourself a break.
yeah,
Seriously. I mean, hold yourself accountable. There's a huge difference between criticism and holding yourself accountable. Huge difference.
right. Well, a lot of this gets really anchored into us as we're growing up, because, our parents were trying to corral us into having a life or an outcome that was successful. And so how you internalize things can feel like a criticism, but then there's a story being generated around that approach is that,
Right.
you know, and so that'll either foster that player versus a victim mindset that you end up embodying.
Well, Aaron, you take somebody that maybe as they're growing up, they had very strict parents that maybe criticized them all the time. You feel like you're never good enough, no matter what you do. You know, it's always funny, but the people, like you said earlier, the people closest to us are also the most hurtful and
Right.
can be. And
Good job with the B, but because you not got the A.
well, or, you know, you're just too dumb to get an A.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
That's okay, Dean. That's okay.
Well, and that's the whole fixed expectation thing is as children, as we're growing up and as we're becoming who we are, you know, and we're going to talk about it in a minute, but all the no's. Don't do this, don't
Right.
do that. You're
Right.
going to fail at this, you're going to fail at that. You know, I mentioned that I used to sell cookware and cutlery in China door to door. And I'm just telling you guys, we recruited 52 weeks out of the year into that business. I'm not kidding, because there was such a high turnover. And let me tell you what, it drove me crazy. Where the number one turnover came from is these young kids, these young adults would come in and get excited about the job. And I mean, we did all this intense training, and then they would go home and they would be absolutely crucified at home. I can't believe you're going to go do that. You're going to fail.
Don't you know how hard that's going to be? Right? I mean,
Like, seriously.
you know what, guys? How many of you guys have had that feedback from anybody about coming into real estate?
Yeah, door to door is hard, Ariana. That is in your face prospecting, big time.
Right, absolutely. So we have, you know, comparing to others, again, we talked.
Oh, this
about
is huge self-doubt.
The comparison culture room with the Instagram and Facebook.
And I'm not trying to separate, you know, women from men or whatnot, but I think there is so much pressure put on women from such a young age they have to look a certain way, they have to be a certain way. I mean, think of these poor kids in the schools right now, if they don't have the coolest and best clothes on and the fad and what's going on, how persecuted they are.
Man, I felt this growing up. We had 5 kids. My family, my dad didn't do well.
Right.
And I remember it came to be school time for shopping. We each got $30. And we drive down to Kmart and we did our shopping. The next weekend, I'd get to see my cousin.
Yeah.
There was 2 kids.
Decked out.
Oh, he had Gerbo's, he had the Guess on, he had Jordans on, and I'm in not fake leather shoes, you know, like no name. And man, it was hard.
It's hard. I mean, I grew up.
And then I was a dad and had to do the same thing and realized just how hard it was. You know, I had no clue how hard it was.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I grew up very, very poor, a lot of kids, a lot of mouths to feed. My stepdad was an art teacher at the local high school. I think his salary was like $28,000 a year. Can you imagine raising all those kids on that? Being overprotective, you know, being that helicopter parent that's always hovering and always just you're scared for your child. You want to try to protect them from the world, but at that same time, you're not.
Guys, what we're trying to actually just point out is how this stuff gets put into our systems and how the programming happens. They meant well.
Exactly.
They were trying to take care of us when this was going on. But the reality is we internalized a story and it shifted and altered how we approach life.
Exactly.
Right. And so take a look at some of this stuff we're talking about and
internalize it,
understand how you're approaching things. What we're trying to share with you is this is all a choice. And now that you're being exposed to it, you'll be conscious of it and you can address it.
Exactly. You know, I love this quote. I don't know who it's from, but if you change your mindset, you change your life. So true. So, I mean, this just is jumping off this paper at why we're talking about this. Bottom line, guys, is be conscious, have those self-talks with yourself, give yourself a break, but hold yourself accountable. And I can tell you this, no matter what your childhood was like, whether it was fantastic or whether it was hard, it's okay because it has made you who you are today. But where you go down this path, you are the only person that's in control of that.
You're in
You.
control, you're the author.
That's it. You're the author. And it's 100% up to you whether that path leads you down being a happy, productive, beautiful, strong, powerful person,
Right.
or being the victim.
Yeah, or being the little put upon weakling. And unfortunately, that's what I look at it like, but
Okay, I kind of led into this because I said have some self-talk.
right.
Okay, positive self-talk reinforces a growth mindset. How many of you, raise of hands, how many of you guys out there actually talk to yourself?
Guys, how many of you guys actually are aware and are conscious of the type of talking you are doing to yourself?
Yeah, is your talk beating yourself up? Is your talk positive talk or negative talk? Because that's a big thing. I mean, I think probably a lot of people have self-talk that is not healthy.
Well, there's a study out there that talks about how there's over 70,000, we have over 70,000 thoughts a day. 2/3 of those are subconscious and habitual talk.
Right.
And the way our brains work, they call it the reptilian brain. It's the oldest part of our brains that's designed to protect us and to help us, run away from
Bad things.
run away from the, saber-toothed tigers and stuff. But the reality is we're not in that kind of harmony longer. And we're habitually run by and it is the self-talk, this negative self-talk that you're not even conscious of.
And that negative self-talk leads absolutely to a fixed mindset.
Right, absolutely.
Where you're not good enough. You can't do it.
It freezes you. It absolutely debilitates and freezes you.
So be conscious of it, reframing challenges, using your self-talk to view your challenges, to actually pick them apart and find the good.
That's okay, dude. You did better this time. Do it again.
Yeah. I mean, I've said this many times, Aaron. I love new. I love change because there has not been a single time in my life when I had something change that it wasn't awesome, that I grew like crazy. Change is amazing. Persistence.
That persistence requires some self-confidence and I think being willing to actually persist through some of the negatives and keep going. I mean, it's also a learnable skill.
Yes.
It's a muscle.
Yes. How about the one we talked about earlier, actually learning from your mistakes? It's sometimes it's not easy to learn from those mistakes. Sometimes you want to sit there and play the poor picked on me for a minute. And again, it's just a matter, guys, of having the strong enough fortitude to actually look at what it was that was a mistake. You know what it is. You know what you did. You know when you let down your guard. You know when you made a choice that wasn't the right choice. It's just a matter of you being truthful with yourself and actually, again, learning from that mistake and moving forward.
Good question here is what was the lesson here?
Yeah.
Right. And then, being cognizant and making the adjustments again.
And then the last one is a big one, and I don't think enough people do this, Aaron, is celebrating your efforts, celebrating your wins, celebrating you.
Absolutely. This also ties, interesting enough, back to self-talk. So guys, you do something good, give yourself an attaboy. I mean, give yourself the pep talk that you're improving. I mean, it's
self-compassion. It's like I said, give yourself a break. Nobody's going to be harder on you than yourself. But
that's the truth. Have you ever heard the saying, if you talk like this to anybody else, would you have any friends?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Scary.
It is scary. I've actually never heard that.
And yeah. If you talk to yourself the way you talk, or talk to others the way you talk to yourself, you wouldn't have any friends. So
I agree, Ariana. She was saying that celebrating puts you on a frequency that attracts more. I am a huge, huge believer that what you're putting out in the world is exactly what's coming back to you. And we could do a whole session on that.
Absolutely.
But
Thanks, Ariana.
yeah, thank you. The next one is goals, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on this because, guys, one of our main topics is goals, and it's not only setting goals, but it's setting goals that are achievable goals, and actually having a system and a game plan on how you're going to achieve those goals. I mean, just ask yourself right now, how many times have you set a goal, say at the first of the year or at the end of the year for the next year, and by the time January's done, that sucker's in the wind and it's gone.
Right.
I've done it.
Absolutely. I think setting realistic goals is just setting yourself up for some successes. So sometimes that just means, and we're going to go into this on a later date, but just sometimes that means chunking it down to a realistic, approach.
But when we do the goals, you guys are going to love this. We've created some amazing worksheets that absolutely, if you'll follow it and if you'll just stick to the plan, because we break it down so far that you don't have to look at the big, huge mountain. You just have to look at that one little tiny thing right in front of you. And if you just keep following the crumbs, before you know it, you're at the top of the mountain.
Let's focus on the first step.
That's right. Visualizing success.
We also have another worksheet that we do.
Yes, we do.
It's a nightly practice that gives you the ability to actually visualize some of the successes and the outcomes you're shooting for. But guys, every pro athlete has coaches. They teach the power and the value of visualization. There was another study that I listened to where,
you know what, Aaron, I don't mean to interrupt you, but they not only have a coach, they have a coach for every piece of their life.
Every layer of their life.
Every layer,
right.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, you're fine. It was just interesting, visualization is a tool, but they did 2 test groups. One test group, I think it was of 20 athletes, went into a gymnasium and they practiced free throws, physically shooting free throws. And then the other group of 20 people went into a room where they were coached and talked about, and they visualized shooting the same number of free throws. Then when they brought those 2 groups back together and actually tested the proficiency, the ability to shoot because of the practice.
Who did better?
Yeah. The visualization one, I did it as good, if not better.
I think it was better.
Yeah, than the actual physical shooters.
Where they imagined it.
They imagined successful shots versus, then you have your self-talk, you miss one, then you have the negatives that come out of it. Whereas visualization of shooting that perfect shot, so guys, visualization is
use this tool.
Absolutely.
Man, if you are not visualizing yourself, and again, Aaron said it, we have a worksheet, I think it's tomorrow, that we're gonna share with you guys that, man, it is so powerful because it taps into your subconscious mind.
Guys, this is as little as visualize talking with a spouse. Visualize the conversation you're going to have, the outcome you want, having a successful result. Guess what? You walk into that interaction, you're going to have a great interaction with your spouse.
Or even if something as simple as like going for an interview, or visualize yourself actually that you get the job and how excited you are. What are your emotions?
How are you going to sit down? How are you going to handle a conversation? It's that simple, guys.
It is such a powerful tool, this visualization. And if you're not using it, start.
Right.
You'll see it'll change your life. And then the last one, Aaron, is the mindfulness and being present.
Meditation, basically, guys, I've heard also that one of the biggest gifts you can give anyone is presence. A lot of times our brains are just all over the freaking place. You're here, but you're thinking about over there. So
I struggle with this one.
Yeah, so do I. I absolutely do. Our brains are going a million miles a minute, but being able to actually be present and having a mindfulness and a calm mind. So meditation is incredible for this. It helps you actually learn how to manage through and actually calm your mind.
Exactly. I kind of make a joke of it, but I really, really do. you know, before we started this system, we talked about the first day how I had so many friends, but
Yep.
shallow. And I mean, literally, I would have a conversation with somebody, and within 30 seconds in that conversation, my mind was somewhere else.
Yeah.
And it's just, if one of many things that this system has taught me is slow my freaking roll and pay attention to what's right in front of me
Be with people. Huh?
and listen and ask the forward questions
Yeah.
on and on and on.
Right.
And it's not just for business. It's for
Relationship.
relationship
Yeah.
and knowledge. And I mean, there's some interesting people out there. And until you start having a viable conversation with them, how you ever going to know?
Right.
How many jewels of conversations are you missing out on because you're got your blinders on and you're just skirting through life?
I think understanding the value of presence is a mindset by itself, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Right.
Big time.
Puts you in a position where you're responsible to that. You're responsible of how you show up and how you're going to actually contribute to the interaction you're in.
Yeah. So I mean, it's this simple, guys. In your own personal lives, we all know how it is to get busy, and we all know how it is to internalize and you're more important than everybody else. I mean, we all do it. It's human nature. But I can tell you, if you'll take some of these tools and if you'll just have the conversations with yourself, and if you'll just focus on always positive in your life, always being present and not coasting through life, I can promise you this one simple thing will change your life like nothing else will.
Absolutely.
It will absolutely change your life. So put it to work for you. Make sure that you're taking all of these tools we're giving you, and don't just stick them aside and go, well, that was a great message, but
It's more of a come from and a personal responsibility of who am I? How do I look at problems, and how do I show up in my life and in scenarios? Am I being a victim or am I being a player? Do I have a fixed mindset or am I in a growth mindset? Am I being conscious and am I being present?
yeah,
Guys, you couple all of those tools together and you're showing up in life. I mean, powerfully.
you know, next time you're frustrated, or next time you're feeling down in the dumps, or next time that you're actually pissed off big time, take a break, sit down, have the conversation with yourself, walk through what that scenario is, what you need to own in that scenario. And I can almost guarantee you that before you're done, you'll be calmed down, you'll be calm, not stressed out. You'll be forward looking and positive and looking for positive.
Absolutely.
So guys, we sure appreciate you. We love, like I said, what makes me so happy is for us to share this message and hopefully make a difference in your guys' lives and show up for you. And if you have any questions, any comments, any feedback, we would love to hear it, and we'd love to answer your questions. So, you're welcome. So guys, we sure appreciate you. Tomorrow, again, I say I'm so excited to bring the next message, but tomorrow's a good one. Are we doing habits? I believe tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or is it goals?
It's either goals or habits, but we're going to do both.
All right.
So it doesn't matter. But this is going to be such a powerful thing for you guys tomorrow to help you turn some of those bad habits into good habits. So thank you very much. We appreciate your time because I know it's precious. And hopefully we're making a difference in your life. Have a fantastic rest of your day. We will see you tomorrow at noon.
Thanks, guys.